I'll be the bad cop, then do your job. Now pose for your mugshot.
Hi, I'm Molly. I've been teaching for 14 years. I really enjoy teaching elementary art because of the self-discovery. I live close to the Indiana state line in a suburb of Chicago. This past school year was my first year working in an art-infused charter school in Gary, Indiana. Yes, you guessed it, Michael Jackson's birthplace. I'm the art teacher for 200 kindergarten through second grade students, and I really enjoyed watching how their own art skills blossomed over this past year. My research topic is the mugshot. I decided on this topic because of where I work is a high crime rate and because of the background and how the criminals' face tell a story that is full of emotion. With social media gaining momentum in our own time, even the simplest mugshot is no longer simple. Social media has helped to romanticize many hushed topics of the past. The simple mugshot gives the viewer a look into the world of mischief and wrongdoing. If the viewer looks closely, they can see the tiny details that capture the emotion on the offender's face. A simple tool, the mugshot, now has become romanticized through modern-day art and social media. Romanticizing the mugshot is how society has a tendency to look at the past and portray the future. Emerging artists have changed the way society is even viewing mugshots because they are using them within their own art. Through my pins, I will compare and contrast vintage mugshots becoming art, dive into some new artists and their own twist on the mugshot, and finally, how simple emotion is portrayed in the eyes of the sitter. Remember last year, around June, when Jeremy Meeks' mugshot emerged on social media and landed him a modeling contract? Mr. Meeks' photo had drawn more than 101,000 likes, close to 13,000 shares, and nearly 27,000 comments. Now, take a moment and think about how entranced society is with mischief and wrongdoing. Andy Warhol was not the first and will not be the last artist using mugshots within their art. The use of mugshot leads the viewer to look closely at the criminal at their most vulnerable point when being booked and charged with their crime. Artists are intrigued to capture that emotion, yet it can be controversial and be painted over before anybody can see the artist's work. This happened to Warhol's 13 Most Wanted Men at the World Fair in 1964. During my research, I found 3 artists recreating vintage mugshots through photography. This first artist, Michael Jason Enrique, is merging the vintage mugshot with the celebrity mugshot to recreate a 1920 celebrity doppelganger. Enrique is an advertising art director who feels the society connects with these eerie beauties from the past. He uses Photoshop and imposes the images to create these doppelganger mugshots. The second artist, Sammy Sofka, uses black and white photography and then uses digital technology to create her prints. Sofka wants the viewer to perceive the emotion that each image radiates. Nick Dolan is the third artist that is using live models and makeup artists in a 2-day span to create his photograph series entitled Wanted. Dolan decided to pay close attention to detail when he recreated these mugshots. The stark background makes the viewer look deep into the criminal's eyes. This artist caught my attention because of the community in which I work. I was glad to see how he is changing the message of mugshots. Emerging artist E.J. Brown is using an alternate mugshot portrait of African American young men in a cap and a gown to send a positive instead of negative message. The message, we all can succeed. E.J. Brown felt that he had to do something after the video of Walter Scott getting shot in the back a couple months back went viral on social media. His own worst fear was dying or even seeing his own father in the headlines. He was upset and angry and wanted something constructive to send a message, so he launched his mugshot series on his Tumblr account, which depicts his friends with a cap, a gown, a police slate, and a blank stare. The police slates had their majors on it. E.J. Brown wanted his audience to know he was an educated black man and to take notice. He was tired of the tragedy of black men and police, and he took to art to express his feelings. I found 3 artists using unconventional medium to create mugshots. Chris Sykes is reusing paper bags as his canvas. Joanne Arnett is using fibers to create her mugshots. And Jennifer Annaford. I found 3 artists using unconventional mediums to create mugshots. Chris Sykes is reusing paper bags as his canvas. Joanne Arnett is using fibers to create her mugshots, and Jennifer Hannaford is using her inked fingerprints. Joanne Arnett is a fiber artist that is using her skills to weave a story of mischief and wrongdoing. She is using wire thread within her portrait to create a shine like old photographs. She creates each portrait in her own likeness. Arnett considers her mugshot self-portrait since she creates each one and it only lasts until she snaps the picture. She makes herself vulnerable because she feels that the mugshot is at the offender's lowest low. Arnett believes that every step of the process is discovery. Once the textile is hung, the viewer's perception of the work changes depending on the observation angles, just like vintage photographs. The wire within the textile catches the light differently, changing the mood of the portrait. If the viewer stands just right, the image disappears within the textile. Jennifer Hannaford's career is a forensic scientist who has a love for art. She took her knowledge of forensics to create mugshots with her own inked fingerprints. This technique keeps the old grainy feeling of the vintage photographs. Some might even say it looks like pointillism. The mugshot are of celebrities. She compares this technique to collecting tiny details to showcase the big picture, just like her job. She is another artist during my research that expresses about the vulnerability of the accused and how their emotions are unmasked. Her mugshot series has led her to try her hand in a different media and a different theme. Now, let's look at how 2 different artists use the same vintage mugshot as reference. Each changes the mood of the portrait as well as the emotion of the sitter. The original mugshot is of a young adult woman. Her facial expression is sadness of being caught, and the light is softness reminiscent of dawn. Now let's look at Sykes. First, he does a light pencil sketch and paints each square carefully using 4 or 5 colors of acrylic paint. Sykes leaves out the background because of his canvas is the background. Casted-off brown paper bag, which he feels closes the gap with the relationship of the offender. In this particular mugshot, Sykes has chosen an orange palette with blue being a contrasting color. When he has placed the orange hue against the peach hue on her face, her emotional expression changes from sadness to anger. He uses high contrast to create these motions in the mugshot. Now take a look at Enriquez, who uses digital technology to merge 2 photographs. During his process, he has darkened the background to change the mood of the mugshot. In addition, Paris Hilton's face is imposed on the original vintage mugshot. Her own facial emotion is different than the original offender's. This also changes the feeling of the photograph. And I would like to state that the artist is the one who sets the tone of the portrait and not just the sitter. With the vintage photograph, we have true emotion, while with the recreated, we have what the artist thinks the original criminal has emulated. If we look at my curated collection of mugshots, we can see that the criminal has a vast range of emotion that gives the viewer a sense of mischief and wrongdoing. We've also looked at some new artists and their own twist on mugshots. And finally, how society is viewing mugshots now, not just as a tool to help police, but as modern art.